Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Back. There we go. Sorry about that. My internet came unplugged for a second. Ghost chair. Yeah. I'm Dion. I will be your host for the Ghost Chair. Hi, Amber. Leisure. Good to see you both. Yeah, now I cut my live. Yeah, that was me editing. I unplugged my internet for a second, do some editing. Yeah, that's as close to editing as I get. When did Mother's Day? This time I took all my kids and my grandkids, and it was certainly different. It's certainly different. You know, and I'm working on cutting back on my social media. I had another friend. They're like, you should go live on Instagram. Like, it never works. You know, sorry, just ain't gonna put that much work into it. It's just Instagram. It's actually better if you go to my YouTube. YouTube seems to work best, and they don't cut my videos because they disagree with what I have to say. Facebook does that shit, you know. But yeah, I gotta, and I'm this topic is coming up because there's. Let me start it this way. Misinformation in recovery has the power to kill. Yeah, now I'm seeing things like alcoholism. There are 3 things that suck that they just didn't tell me about. It's like, did you not go to the meetings? It's like, you didn't hear them at meetings, but you're quoting straight out of the big book. Huh. I just don't like it when people abuse our program, man. And now I'm seeing a lot of ads for the family of the alcoholic, mostly the codependent. You think I don't have an afro? But they're talking about the codependent, and they're putting down the alcoholic. So, codependency started way before they met that alcoholic, way before. Like when they were born in their own family. Claire Joy says, Heidi Ho Dion with no afro. Give me about 30 seconds. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right. You're not getting out the window either, assholes. You're all in trouble right now. So, all right. Okay. You ready for You ready for this? You ready? You ready? You ready? Dion with an afro. Yep, that's me with an afro right there. All right. Now you've seen Dion with an afro. With that being said, welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm currently not sporting my afro at the moment. People don't believe me. Yeah. A big one, too. Notice I'm also darker than everybody else in the picture. The running joke is that I'm black. It's been that way for years. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. I used to train people. In sales over the phone. Then once a year we'd all get together for, awards and things like that. And they'd meet me and they're shaking my hand, looking at me like, I so thought you were black. Teacher says you look like one of the sweat hogs. Yeah, probably the flannel. So, but my hair's really, really curly and I blow dry it. So I go whoosh. Yeah, it was my look. Made me terminally unique. Right. So anyway, did I do introductions? I did do introductions. So we're good there. Now we're going to get into the family disease, right? So in the big book, it says, this disease is like no other. Okay. Now I'm going to, because a lot of you have heard this often from me. Alcoholism we're born with. Okay. And I'm not saying that there isn't what I'm not saying. Give me 1 second. I need to close this button door here. No, because I had my door shut, but I went and shut my wife's. She's listening to something. All right. So here's the thing. Not anybody can be an alcoholic. No. You can't make yourself be an alcoholic. There's no trauma in this life that can turn you into an alcoholic. There's, and I'm certainly not putting down other addictions. I am not doing that. What I'm saying is those other addictions happen most likely because of trauma, either a physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual trauma that happened in their lives. Okay, a person who is an alcoholic has no choice. We were never given the choice. Whether you have trauma in your life or not, you could be raised in the best home ever, a loving home with everything you ever needed. You could have had the best therapy in the world. You can have all the money in the world, but it will not stop alcoholism. It won't do it. It is a mental illness that we are born with. I know there's a lot of people that don't want to agree with me. And here's the reason I'm bringing it up. Because now we're mixing alcoholism, addiction, and mental health, and we're lumping them together. And it's going to be very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Right? I'm looking for that spot. Looking for the spot that, yeah. May I'll ask Google in a second. Okay. Everybody but my grandma was at the party day in this picture. So I even had a talk with my brothers and my sister today. We actually got along. It's my kids. They'd even exchange phone numbers. It's always been a rule in my family Like sometimes I'd get into an argument with my mom, and I would tell my kids, just because I'm not getting along with my mom doesn't mean that no, that's not how we work in this family. You get to have your own relationships, right? Absolutely, we do, right? So alcoholism runs in families. It's the way it is. There are certain things that I could say. If you're a female alcoholic, you are probably closer to your dad. If you are a male alcoholic, you're probably closer to your mother or a cousin, or an aunt or an uncle. I already know it. You're alcoholic. It's the way that it goes. It's the way that it happens. There's no choice. But I'm seeing people run these ads because they want to quote unquote help. And they're literally putting down alcoholics. You should leave your loved one and encouraging leaving and not, Oh, I got to tell you guys something. Not all of you know this, but at one point, I started running a meeting and I did this because it's a family disease, and the goal was to have an AA meeting, an Al-Anon, and an Alateen meeting. Okay. Well, I started an AA group at Henderson Community Church. Hardly anybody showed up. It was pretty much me and my wife, Amber, and Tyler. That was about it. For 9 months, months and months and months on end. And I just couldn't get the AA meeting going. I was talking to my sister today, and I asked her, I'm like, is the Al-Anon meeting still going? She's like, not only is it going, we had to move upstairs because we got too big. I'm like, fuck yeah. And now they have Alateen twice a month. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So good news on that front. Now they have 2 Alateen meetings going on a month. That's so cool. That's twice as many Alateen meetings as they already have in Metro Denver. Now there's 4 meetings. Anyway, it's still not enough. See, everybody in the family is affected because, well, we share DNA. Now, let's say we have a couple, one of them's an alcoholic, they have 3 kids and they adopt someone. Okay. That person that is being adopted will not turn into an alcoholic because they live with that family. No, it won't happen. Yeah. It won't. They might be made neurotic, right? But we all have different positions in the family. And this family, this disease doesn't work the same. A lot of people are drug addicts because they had a broken back. Maybe they had a broken neck. They were given Oxycontin. Got addicted to the Oxycontin. Because see, when it comes to drugs, anybody can be addicted to drugs. Is recovery kind of the same? Kind of. Yeah. Not for other mental illnesses, though. But when it comes, if you put addiction all into one basket, the answer is kind of the same. They may talk a little bit of a different language, right? Now, here's the thing. I don't know what it feels like to be an overeater. I don't know what it feels like to be on heroin. I don't know any of that. So therefore, a person who has been through that, who has recovered, has a much better shot at helping that person than I do, whether God's involved or not. It's about being in the right lane or right arena at the right time. I mean, I do want to help anybody that I can. And AA is the grandpappy. If they're going to land there, That's why we made the in-person meeting an open meeting so that anybody could join, including people with overeating problems or whatever, so that we could help them find their own groups. I'm happy to do that. I am. That's fine with me. I don't mind. You know, if AA is where they start, well, gosh, that's a pretty good fucking start, man. And I understand the attraction to AA from other addictions. We have a lot of fun, man. We have a lot of fun. We joke around a lot, and who doesn't want to be a part of that? Well, besides non-alcoholics. But alcoholism affects everybody in the family, and everybody in the family is to some extent ill, spiritually sick. Think of it like a ghost. Think of it like a not even necessarily a ghost, but maybe a demon or somebody. I'm very much into demonology and ghosts and stuff. Very much I am. Right. So let's think of alcohol as a spirit. Well, you know, if you watch any of these horror shows, what happens? Well, there's one person that is picked out. This, in this case, would be the alcoholic, right? And what the spirit does is it separates them, it abuses them, it uses them, it makes them think it's their best friend, that they're there to help. Maybe they come across as a guardian angel or something in the beginning. Sound kind of familiar? But it doesn't just affect that one person living in the household. It starts to affect everyone, doesn't it? Eventually, it'll start to affect everyone. Claire says that's good service. Thank you. And thank you. I appreciate that. Claire also says, I'm happy to help every time we have said no one will show one person has. Yeah. You know. Oh, and I did reach out to Community Resource Center and our compatriot over there, our ally. He is going to do more to try and get some people there. He's got some ideas. So, and he very much wants it done. But I in this case, I knew in the beginning that it was just going to be slow. I knew that. You know. At the same time, you know, like when I did Henderson, I really got to know Amber and Tyler really well. Claire and I, we sit there and yak the whole time, man. And it's nice to have a friend there. You know, if I was doing it alone, it would just suck ass. Honestly, it would just suck. All right. So it is a family disease, and the family gets well together. For the most part, doesn't always happen that way. So what is it that we have for the family? Well, we have Al-Anon. Al-Anon is usually for people that are husbands and wives, significant others, partners, things like that. Might be a grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, but it's usually a family member. Alateen is for the kids, teen, 18 and under. Once you're over 18, you don't get to go to Alateen. Oh, well, 19, I guess, because that's still teen. But then you got to start going to Al-Anon. But there's also another program out there called Adult Children of Alcoholics. Been around for a very, very long time. They deal with trauma. They dig into trauma big time. Okay? And it's a great program. I've seen people accomplish great things through that program. Certainly have. What are some of the other ones that are kind of out of the 12th step scope? Okay, there are other ones: Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, Wellbriety, Dharma, but none of them is a family program like AA. None of them. Yeah. Is that part of the Al-Anon analogy? Which one? Which part that I said are you asking about on that? Alateen is run by people in Al-Anon. Now, we used to have a shit ton of Alateen meetings, but then the government stepped in and said, you have to have this kind of background check in order to one. It's called like NSAID or something like that. NSAID. I don't remember. My sister said it. So what it means, you got to go through a little bit of training, and then you have to have a background check put on you, and it's the same background check that they do when you get out of jail. And it's pretty extensive. Takes hours to get done. They just run it through every single database out there is what they do. Run your name. But Claire, I want to be able to answer your question. So if you could kind of fill me in on which part, I'd be happy to answer it for you if I can. I don't know Al-Anon as well as I know AA. So, but it's still based on the same stuff. Right. But I'm bringing this up because there's a lot of places out there that, I mean, now that the funding was taken away for alcohol use disorder, there's still plenty of money for things like family therapy and stuff. So now they're going after that money, but they don't understand what they're talking about. AA, Al-Anon, Alateen is adult children of alcoholics approved or conference approved literature. I believe the answer to that is yes. Is adult children's of alcoholics AA approved? I said AA approved, not AAA approved. It is a 12-step program. So in that case, the answer is yes. Just like, but we can't really say that it's only our literature that we really approve. So like Al-Anon, they're called the Al-Anon family group. And they have a different set of steps than we do. They work more on boundaries, things like that, but they still do a 4th step, a 5th step, 8th step, 9th step, all of that. They do that. A lot of times Al-Anon and Alateen are utilized so that somebody has a support system, but their significant other is still drinking. So that way they have support but they don't want to leave. And that's what I don't like about these ads I'm seeing. They're literally telling people to leave their wives or husbands. No. That you can't, we don't do that. These people are not family therapists. They really are not. And it gets to me, all the lying, all the bullshit. It feels so salesy now. It's weird. Claire says, I guess that's what I'm asking. Is there literature conference approved through AA? It doesn't need to be approved through AA because it's not AA. ACA is their own thing. We do not have, and if it came right down to it, Al-Anon, Alateen, and ACA would be considered an outside issue in AA. We don't work with that. I hope that helps. That probably made it clear as mud, I'm sure. Okay. But AA can't tell OA what to do, or NA what to do, or Al-Anon or Alateen or ACA for that matter. Al-Anon can't tell AA what to do, even though they do quite often. It's just an Al-Anon joke. Right. So those are great questions, Clara. So the answer to that is no. It is not AA approved because AA we don't do those programs. So Al-Anon has their own world service. It's a different office. They have their own daily reflection. They have their own big book. They have their own 12, although every single A seems to follow the same traditions. So I really hope I answered your question. That's where it's kind of confusing until it's not, and then it's really simple. All right. So what do we have here? Well, what we have is a family dynamic that tends to keep each other sick. So we have the alcoholic. They're the main instigator, right? They're the sick one. Okay. Then you have the codependent, which is usually the significant other. If the significant other is no longer there, it will be the firstborn child. Always. Always. Can we all agree the second-born child seems to be the tougher one? Even if there's four of them, it's the second-born child that seems to disrupt the house, to seem to get into trouble, huh? For the most part, 90% of the time it is. See, it's a pattern. It's a pattern that can in our DNA that cannot be broken. All right. I don't know all the psychology behind it. I know some of it. So who comes after the codependent, right? The codependent, what they do is they make lies for the alcoholic. They make excuses for the alcoholic so they can continue behavior. Where was this behavior learned? Because they learned this behavior way before they met the person they married. They were codependent before that. If they weren't, then they are not going to stick with that alcoholic for very long. Why do they do it? Because that's what they're used to. It's the life they know. That's how they were taught. And where did they learn it? From their alcoholic parent. Now, you may have some parents, right? You may have a couple of parents, and neither one of them drink. And neither one of them drink because their parents drank and they didn't like it. These people are usually the hero, the firstborn, and then when they meet, they get together. But since alcoholism is in their DNA, it gets passed to their child. See, drug addiction doesn't work like that unless that's not totally true. If a child is born, a child can be born with a predisposition to drugs if the person that was pregnant was doing drugs while they were pregnant. So that would be a case where, yeah, they are born kind of a drug addict. Yeah. Who's the second child? Second child is the black sheep of the family. Yeah. And we kind of skipped the first one, which is the hero. There's one that they go to school, they do what they're supposed to, they get good grades. They're usually the ones that take care of the other kids. That was kind of more job than my older brothers. He was just gone a lot. He didn't want to be around there. Didn't blame him, but that put all the work on me. Right. So in a way, I was kind of, in a way, and it wasn't, but I was mostly black sheep. Black sheep is usually the one that becomes the next alcoholic in line. This is the person that gets blamed for pretty much everything that goes on in the house, even everything the alcoholic does, because the codependent protects them at all costs before they do their child, because that's what they were taught. That's how they saw it in their own family. Now, what about those two people that were heroes and ended up with an alcoholic child? Well, man, they do great and they do this, but they're probably emotionally unavailable. The heroes are usually they don't have much in the way of empathy, or they do have a lot of empathy, but they give more grace to everyone else and give none to you. Yeah. It's usually what they do. So the black sheep, usually the person blamed for everything. Guy happened to me again today. What do you do? It's my job. Now, the thing about the black sheep is this. If this person decides to change their life, they usually change the whole family. Yeah. Now, let's say that we have 4 kids. The alcoholic in the family decides to get sober and these kids are still kind of young. Oh, well, then that's probably going to cut the alcohol. No. No, it won't. No. Or my daughter wouldn't have been an alcoholic. There was no choice. The choice has not been given to it. Maybe it was. Maybe we're up in heaven and we're like, yo, God, I want this life to be really fucked up this time around. So yeah, if you could make me an alcoholic, that'd be awesome. I don't think I made that choice. Maybe I did. Who knows? I was there, but I don't remember. I don't know. Right? But the black sheep's the one that usually takes the blame. But they're usually the one out destroying their neighborhood. Right? And every single one of these people, they all have one thing in common. They're all highly intelligent. Alcoholics are highly intelligent people. Yeah. Yeah, Claire, we have to treat the spiritual malady. Yes. Now, the cool thing is this. Let's say that alcoholic gets sober, becomes a good example. Then there's a really good chance that if one of their kids is alcoholic, their drinking career is not going to be very long. That's the good thing. So we cannot break the generational cycle of alcoholism, but we can reduce it by years. That we can do. Right? Who's next in the list? Be the lost child. Child's usually, they're the third born. They're usually pretty quiet. They're shy. They're those people in the family when they're shy till they're not, till you get to know them, and then blah, 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 blah. Right? They usually keep to themselves. These people don't want to start any arguments. They want peace. These people usually end up being Switzerland. They become neutral to things. But that person usually becomes a codependent. It's the lost child that usually ends up becoming the codependent. Either the hero or the lost child. Those two, so the firstborn and the thirdborn, usually, not always, sometimes these roles can change. You can even be the hero and the black sheep. I kind of was. I was a hero at the beginning. I was saving my mom. I was making, I know how to cook. I've been cooking since I was 8. Well, no, it was older than that. Because it wasn't until I got to Colorado and I moved here at 9. So 10, 11, I started cooking. Yeah. Not too hard to brown hamburger and make hamburger helper. Not to brag, but I don't need the directions for mac and cheese anymore. Or grilled cheese sandwiches. Or ramen. All right. What's up, whiny baby? All right. What up? Oh, can you not use your nails on my inner thigh there? I would appreciate that. Yeah. Not enough love. Were you wondering where I was? I think this one still gets a little separation anxiety when I'm gone for a little bit. He doesn't understand that I'm coming back. And it really isn't much separation anxiety as much as it is, well, who's going to fill my food bowl? It's more concern for him than it is for me. So we have the lost child, right? And the lost child, like I was saying, they're pretty shy. They're kind of meek, right? But if there's anybody that actually has a chance in the family of being spiritually healthy, it's the lost child. Usually don't have many friends. I didn't have many friends. I was kind of a lost child. I was kind of a mixture of everything. What's the last one? It's the clown. The clown. The mascot. Those are the two different words in the DSM for it. People usually call it the mascot. These people usually disrupt people in school. They like to crack jokes. Things are funny. This is how they deal with the trauma in the house. This person also has a higher chance of being an alcoholic than do the lost one or the hero. It's usually the black sheep and the mascot that become the alcoholics. And I bet everything that I've said, you already know which one you are. And most of us are the black sheep. See, now if we get into drug addiction, there is no setup like that. There's nothing in the DSM for it. But for alcoholism, we have seen this stuff throughout the years. Because alcohol has been around for as long as we found out that shit fermented and it made us feel this way. That's how long alcohol, I don't know how long. Let's find out. How long has alcohol been around? 7,000 BC. BC. It's been around longer than most things. It's been around longer than the Bible. Like 7,000 years before the Bible. That's how long we've been dealing with alcoholism. Well, it's 2001, so that's 9,000 years. And I don't know how that works. I could probably be wrong. Well, it's 2025, so that's 2,000 years, right? Plus, so it's been around for 9,000 years. How long has marijuana been around? How long has opiates been around? How long has MDMA been around? How long has acid and shrooms? Peyote's been around for a very long time. Peyote and marijuana have been around for almost just as long. Leisure says mead is the oldest form of alcohol. When you said mead, it reminds me of what is it? Oh man, I'll remember it. I'll remember it. I love it. It's a cartoon too. It's I always want to go to 300, but it's not. Okay. Michelle says, if alcoholism is born in us, does the matter of when you're born matter? No. I wouldn't think so. And that's entirely an educational guess. It's not even an opinion. So if we're born with alcoholism, does it matter when you're born? No, I don't think that would be a factor because it carries on from one generational to another. See, alcoholism is a generational mental illness like schizophrenia. You don't get a choice if you have schizophrenia. It's passed on from parent to child, right? So is bipolar. Usually tends to run in the family, right? I can't remember. Beowulf. God, that bothered me. The cartoon version of Beowulf, I love it. Mead, where's my mead? You're spilling the king's mead. I might have to watch that when I go to bed tonight. I love Beowulf. I am Beowulf. The guy that does the voice is awesome. I forget his name. I can see his face though. I can see his face. He looks a lot like the guy that played Tony Soprano, right? So alcoholism is a family disease. That's what we call it. It is one of the only mental illnesses that is a family disease. It's the only mental illness that destroys everything good around you. It keeps the bad shit. Isn't that weird? Doesn't that sound more and more like a demonic force to you than it does really alcohol? See, that's what I believe. I believe that when I put alcohol in me, then what that does is it lowers my inhibitions so that king alcohol, a demonic force, can enter me and do shit that I would not normally do. I believe that. Right? I mean, there's not much difference between a demonic possession and alcoholism. Even the answer is the same. We need God. I don't know if it's right or not, but it seems to make sense to me. Maybe I may be off, but I bet my answer is pretty darn close to the truth. Claire says, my husband and I have been married 31 years, and I've sat down and just broke the ice on the blueprint of the disease throughout our family and the generation, his side and mine. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. In fact, I was just talking with my auntie about that because she has 5 brothers and sisters, including my mom, and all of them are alcoholic except her. She's a goody. She's always been a goody two shoes. She never got into drugs, alcohol. Her husband has like 35 years sober. He's an awesome dude. He's a cool dude. He's always been, even when I was drinking, he was always real nice to me. He was always just such a good guy to me, you know. But going back and looking at these generations, yeah. That was I don't know if my grandpa was alcoholic, but I think he was. I think he may have been. I didn't know him well enough. He was a hard man to get to know. So, but I did this because I hear a lot of lies being told about recovery right now, and this stuff isn't true, and the truth needs to come out. So that, and I went to a meeting, but I was driving, so I could only listen. I kind of figured it was my turn to probably share and help somebody else today, because I don't think I had done that yet. Well, actually, that's not true. I just helped several people. It was my family. You know what? I didn't tell you so because, my brothers and sisters and I are brother and sister. I just have one sister on that side. We're divided. We don't, except for Mother's Day and Christmas, we don't talk. They all might, but I don't. So I wanted to show them that it's possible to heal your family. And it was working too. Seeing 5 kids run around in the back enjoying themselves. I know my mom loved it. She loved it. It was the best Mother's Day present I could have given to her. Her whole family. I'm the only kid with grandkids. So, and I was able to show them off. And I didn't have time to get offended by anything either. They were a joy to have around. All right. So let's go out and break those generational cycles, the ones that we could break. Let's be a good example. And while we're doing that, let's stay in our lane. One of the neat things that is coming up with the new detox is, let's say a husband is bringing in his wife, or a wife's bringing in a husband, or maybe it's a kid or an aunt, a grandma. Whoever is bringing in the person that needs to go to detox, as soon as they go through that door, they're going to be approached and asked, do you need any help? Do you need somebody to talk to? We've got plenty of other stuff that can help you out. Because the thought is, if they go in there for 3-5 days and go back to the same place with the same attitudes, with the same things, then their chances go down. And that's going to make it worse for this person too, bringing it in. So why not grab them and help them while we can? Cool idea, huh? Thank you. It is a cool idea. I don't know who came up with that one. Not sure. For everybody not watching, I'm pointing at myself. All right. These are the things that we get to do now. So, all right. I hope everybody has a great rest of your sober Sunday. One more shot at seeing Dion with an afro. One more shot there. There he is, right there. Dion with an afro. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.